Hey coaches, if you're getting this video, you're probably looking to run the 4-out, 1-in offense. It's a great offense to run. It's a motion offense. You can use it against man. You can use it against zone. I like it more against a man-to-man defense. But what I want to do in this video today, my objective simply is, I'm hoping that I got a bunch of recreation basketball coaches on here. Probably middle school level, but you could run this in elementary school as well. Just got to make it a little bit easier to learn. And there's a lot of different ways to do it. I'm going to try and give you an easy way to run it, but I want you to be able to run it like effectively and efficiently. I want to teach you kind of how you can show your players how to do this just so they're confident. I think if you can teach your players to play confident, they'll be successful as long as they know what they're supposed to be doing and you keep it simple for them. So, that's what we're talking about is a 4-out, 1-in offense. Just some general characteristics of it. You're gonna want a decent post player when you run this type of offense. That's probably why you're searching for this, is you got a good post player and you want a good offense that will work for that player when that player's in the game. But you also need good perimeter players, right? You need perimeter players that know when to move and that can shoot from out. Actually, you're not really going to shoot too much with this offense. You can, but you're going to want those players that can think on their feet and that can drive and penetrate and look for some smart passes. Some general rules that will apply for this offense is spacing, which is really for any offense. You want about 18 inches per player. You're going to use a lot of cuts. So I suggest if you're going to use this, you might want to work on some drills that have good cuts. I'll talk a little bit about that in this video. You want to make sure that, most offenses, you don't stand around. You want to make sure your players aren't standing around and that they're patient. The dribbling is going to be at a minimum unless you're penetrating the defense. And then, of course, you're always going to have movement. I kind of mentioned that already. Now, for the post player, I'm going to go over post player rules and perimeter player rules. I'll start off with post player. You could do really anything you want with your post player. It's really up to you. As long as there's rules and your post player knows how to do it. I like to keep them on the weak side. So, like, wherever the ball's not at, I like for them to be on that other side. I like them to be on the low post, but I also like them to be able to flash too. But you just have to set that up and just enforce what you want. And I also like to use them for rebounding as well, because most of the players are on the perimeter, so that player's in there and can help out with the rebounding. All right, so I'm going to show you perimeter setup on the board here. You're basically going to want you're going to want your two players kind of at the slot, so not really in the point area, but on the slot, and then players on the wing. So this one's a little bit different than other offenses. You're not exactly throwing them in the corner, and you'll kind of see why here in a little bit. But so you're spaced out. You got a lot of spacing. You don't want any. You don't want your offense to be close together unless you're doing screens, which I'm not going to talk about in this one as much. Maybe I touch on it a little bit, but that's how you want your team to be set up. And then, of course, you have your post player down in the post, and really what you really want your post player to do, if you choose to do it this way, is they want to be on the weak side, so wherever the ball's not at. So in this case it's over here, but if the ball gets passed, they would still stay there because they're still on the weak side. But once it goes over to this side, they should be moving over to the correct weak side. Hopefully that makes sense to you. I think it probably does. And when you first teach this to your team and you teach this to your post player, and really your post player doesn't have to be a post player. It can be really anybody. But when you teach that to your team, try to keep that part simple. Just, hey, like when the ball goes over to the weak side, you just move over to the other side. And there's a lot of different progressions in this. So this can be a complicated offense, but I'm going to try and teach it in a way that you might be able to mirror and teach it to your players and hopefully get them set up just on some good things. And I am emphasizing this one more for a rec team, so I'm not going to go through all the progressions because you can really do a lot with just you know, just the basics of this offense. And then maybe I'll make some videos later on down the road talking about how to add this on. So if you decide that you do like this, shoot me a comment down below and let me know, hey, I want part 2 of this. I want to know the next steps. My team, this worked for my team. So I just taught you how the post player is going to set up and how the perimeter is going to be set up. Now I just kind of want to go into that, that first basic things that you need to know about, and really hear what I'm telling my players is we're going to pass when you're on the perimeter play. You're going to pass. You're going to cut to the basket, and then you're going to fill into the next spot. So let's just say that the ball gets passed from this slot player to the wing player. Okay, that means that this player is now going to have to move somewhere. And what you can start off by doing, and you could really run this as a drill where you just have your team set up, and now this player is cutting into the basket, a little curl cut here, and everyone fills in. And once you start doing this with your team, they will quickly start to see that, okay, pass the ball, cut to the basket, everyone else fills to get the ball. And it'll be really simple because then, of course, the next pass is going to be here. And as you progressively teach this, and make sure you're emphasizing that when this person is cutting, that they got their hands up and they're looking for the ball, because you never know when the ball can be passed. And don't forget that your post player is here as well. So, that post player could set a screen if they were, if that makes sense. But yeah, so, they're looking to get that ball passed to them. They're looking to fill, and then the next person's moving. So everybody's moving in this scenario. Even the post player. I mean, if they're setting a screen, they're still kind of moving. The only one that's not moving is this player. And that's okay. And I want to mention too that this is an offense that does require a little bit of patience, because you're going to reverse the ball around and you're going to look for those open spots. So we're not looking to pass the ball into the cutter on the first go around, right? So that's one way to do that. Now, now we're just going to progressively move right in, right? So like this player runs here. Now the pass is going to this player. So now this player has it, and it's in the slots, back in the slot, and everybody filled in. So this player gets it. Now this player just passed the ball, so he has to cut. So he can either cut all the way around. Actually, no, I guess he can't. He has to fill in. So he's going to have a defender on him. He's going to cut in and then cut back out, a little V cut. And now he is open again. But this player should also be open. And here's another little trick that you can start teaching your kids as this happens, is they're probably going to have a player on them. So he's not exactly going to be able to just pass the ball. So these two players are probably just going to have to crisscross. Or he can V cut in just like the other one did. Or they can kind of flare in and then pop out. So as you can see, but the easiest way probably to teach this to your younger kids, or actually I would say any rec that's learning this for the first time, is, they should, and I always teach, they should just screen for each other and switch spots. And then now you have a nice pass to this player here. And then of course, once that happens, same thing. If this player just passed, they've got to move the ball. So, we could do, you could do multitude of things. You can just switch again and do that. You're going to be probably moving the ball here, so you're not going to come in and move that player out. But you could. But what you want to do is you want to screen for this one, and there's your rotation. And this one, just do a V cut out, and then you can pass the ball here. So that's that perimeter setup. That's how that works. I'm going to move back into the next set of things that you're going to see when you run this. And that's, kind of the next progression is what to do. And I love teaching this because this you can really use, especially on any type of offense, going up against any type of defense. Oops. Is, when a player's being overplayed, you want to do that back cut. So let's just say the ball's here and, this player, and I always tell my kids, if they step over that line, like, you should be back cutting. Back cut and look for that pass, because that's when good things happen. And oh, by the way, this person should be over here by that time. I think I forgot to mention that. So, if the player's stepping over the line, they are, close to you. You can back cut them and probably beat them, right? Like, you see them stepping across that line, boom, you're darting past them, and now you've beat them. Action versus reaction. You get that pass, good things can happen. You can get an easy score. So that's that. And to drill out the back cuts, you could do dummy defense where you could set up a couple lines. And this is actually a fun drill, right? Have the coach here and, just do one-on-one and you tell the defense, sorry, I think I have the coach here, have a line here, have offense, have a line here. This is defense, have the defense here, have the defense come up and step up, and then boom, just pass through, and you'll show them how this works. And you can tell the defense, like, hey, once that person cuts back, you can pop out, and that just makes it a little bit more challenging. But it'll show the players that it does work. And it also shows your defense, like, don't overplay unless you're willing to get beat on the cut. So that's that. And now the next thing I'll show, so like we talked about just the basic pass, cut, fill. Get them moving around, get them feeling comfortable pushing the ball, pass, cut, fill. And then, you just talked about the back cut and what to do when they step over outside the line. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about dribble penetration. So on dribble penetration, and this one, you kind of got to teach this, right? Let me just get my board set up here. So let's just say that you have like a wing to baseline drive. So for whatever reason, you pass the ball around, you reversed it, the defense gets shifted, and this guy drives in. Right? So they drive in, you want to have your five, be in a position to get the ball. So because your defense is going to step up, and the help defense is probably going to move out of the way, this defender. So you just want to have your five kind of cut to the middle, and really, like, it's kind of hard to like teach them exactly what to do. So they have to like instinctively be able to do these things. And then you want to be able to have your other player that's here pop down for like, the long pass here for a 3-pointer. Okay. And then you can also have, the other players go to where they instinctively feel like they're going to be in a position to help, right? I always teach my players too to fill out into the back so that they can, just pass the ball back if they need to. And then I always try to have one player whenever I'm running an offense, really any offense, especially against a fast team, be ready to be safety just in case, because they're going to have a better advantage for rebounds here. So they got to be ready to cut off that fast break just in case it ends up being a miss and we don't get the ball back. But that's your baseline drive there, and that's just kind of how that five will move. Is it kind of moves out of the way, because if you keep them here, you could bounce past them there, and that's fine. But if they come over here, they can get that little bounce pass, and then they can do their layup or their jump shot. And they also have this player over here. So just keep that in mind. That's your your dribble penetration progression. So now I'm going to go over the next one. Is going to just be the wing driving in the middle. So we just did wing driving down the baseline. Now we'll do wing to the wing down the middle. So wing drives middle. Now what you want your 5 to do is you want your 5 to like kind of be here. So he's coming around. You can see that. And that way you can hit that pass right there. And then same thing, you want to have your 1 come, down, and your player up here on the slot come here for the pass. And then of course a player ready for safety. So that's how that looks. That's the wing to middle drive. So the 5's popping around, and then you just have a bunch of options here. And this person can come out to the corner, or they can come out over here, whatever works. But you're looking at trying to take advantage of the defense in that situation. And the last one I'm going to talk about, and before I jump into this one, if you like this type of content, please, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button. Throw some comments down below. I get to them pretty quick, and I'll answer, or do my best to answer it. But yeah, hit the subscribe button if you don't mind. So the baseline from the slot. So let's say, put the 5 over here. Whoops. Okay, so baseline from the slot, you drive in, you drive in like that. You just want the 5 to kind of come up a little bit so he can be, or she can be in a position. And then you want your 1 kind of coming out so that can be kicked out. And this player here can, go out into the corner or wherever they feel like they can be in a position to get the ball, and then you just want that 1 being a safety. So, and just kind of recapping everything that we did here today is, we talked about the setup, right? These are the slots, these are the wings, and then you've got your post player up here. And this post player is always going to stay on the weak side, and they're allowed to flash to the ball as well, but you as a coach get to decide how often they get to do it. They're going to do the passing, cutting, and filling. That's the first thing you teach on this offense, is just pass. The player that passes has to cut. The other players also may need to cut, but they need to fill into the spot. But the most important spot is, if the ball's passed here, the most important spot is going to be the spots that are the closest to the person with the ball. So in this case, if this person passed the ball, there's nobody filling the spot, so they're just going to have to cut back. Okay, and then if these 2 guys switch, they're going to have to hurry up and get that spot open. Otherwise, this player could end up being, trapped or whatever. So pass, cut, and fill. The second progression that we worked on was just, if you're being overplayed, you just want to do that back cut. So if you got a guy stepping over that line, back cut, pop back, beat them because they're overplaying you. And then the last one we talked about was dribble penetration, and how that can be effective, and how you want to how your post player wants to move, and where they want to be, and how everybody needs to move to the right spots on the court to be in the most advantageous area where they can be passed the ball. And that's really it. And I think, your players, once they start seeing these different rules and run into these progressions, I think they'll be they'll understand it. And it's honestly a common sense motion offense that they can run. They just got a few rules, and if you work on it in practice, they'll be knocking this thing out. They'll be that championship team, no problem. If you want to see the other, if you want me to make other videos on other things that can be done with this offense, please leave a comment down below. Thank you and good luck.